Hi guys, Victoria Paxton here. Thanks for stopping back by my YouTube channel. So before I get started, the new camera, the good camera has been fixed and it has returned in our possession. So hopefully the quality of these videos look better. It is overcast and crappy outside right now. It's been overcast and crappy for, I don't know, it seems like 6 months, but probably only like 4 days or something. So yeah, so do me a favor and subscribe and hit the little notification bell. It's free, it doesn't cost anything. Give me a thumbs up if you felt like it. Okay, so let me get started with a few things. I just want to say, I mentioned this on another video, but actually 2 things I want to say. First of all, here's my other Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl champ shirt that my sister sent me. My sister blessed me with this blinged out shirt with Swarovski crystals all over it, and then this shirt, and then she got my son a hat and my husband a hat. So huge Chiefs fans here. She lives in Kansas City, and she actually went to the stadium, to the Chiefs stadium, and got all this stuff. So anyway, been a Chiefs fan since I was probably 10 or 12 years old, and I have been a Redskins fan my entire life. You know, the Redskins started sucking after the 80s. So yeah, I continue to be a Redskins fan in my dad's memory, but it's killing me, y'all. So I was so happy when the Chiefs won. I was like, yes. So yeah, I'm a huge sports fan, huge Atlanta Braves fan. I love the Kansas City Royals. I live in the DC area, so, you know, the Nats, they're like my third team, but, you know, it was awesome that they won last year. Okay, so anyway, what else was I going to talk about? Oh, yeah. So, you know, I get some stupid comments sometimes, which, you know, I expect and I understand. People have their opinions. You know, I've had people say that, you know, what I'm doing is the devil, and, you know, people are entitled to their opinions. Those kind of things don't bother me. But I had this one person in particular who said that I have no compassion, that I don't have any compassion for these parents and what they're going through. And let me tell you something. I've said it before. Until you sit down face to face with a set of parents that wanted to know how their child died and wanted specific details, until you've done that and had your heart like torn out of your chest, you have no idea. You can say a lot of bad things about me that are probably true, many things, but the one thing you can't say is that I don't have compassion, because I do. You know, I've been dealing with parents for years and families, and you know, when I say I can't even imagine, I mean I can't even imagine. You know, even though I'm connecting with these people that have passed, I can't imagine what their family members have gone through. I truly can't imagine. But anyway, I don't want to give this person too much time. You know what I mean? Like, they're not worth it. I appreciate the other 300 people out there that actually watch my videos and appreciate what I do. And I'm so grateful, and I thank you. Honestly, I thank you. That's sincere thank you. Okay, so this video is going to be about a woman named Evelyn Hernandez. So back when I was working on, when I did a video for the Laci Peterson case, I kept having this young Hispanic woman coming through. And someone had commented that they had gotten a specific name. Gosh, I feel so bad I can't remember your name. Anyway, so I had gotten this woman coming through named Evelyn. Yeah, so, okay, so let me start from the beginning. You know how I do it. I'll go over the background, and then we'll discuss, you know, my connection. Okay, so 7 months before 7 months before Laci Peterson disappeared, a young Hispanic woman named Evelyn Hernandez disappeared. Her body was discovered on July 24th of that year. Her body washes up with no head and no limbs. Does this sound familiar? Laci Peterson case. So she was due to give birth a week after she disappeared. She was 24 years old and she was originally from El Salvador. So her 6-year-old son went missing as well. This is a tough one, y'all. This is a tough one. Okay, so the San Francisco police. Okay, so fast forward 7 months later, Laci Peterson disappears. Her body washes up. The body of her unborn son washes up. So the San Francisco police said that Laci Peterson and Evelyn Hernandez's case had nothing to do with each other. Which, of course, they have to say that. Because if they admitted they were connected, then that would mean that her husband, Laci Peterson's husband, who's on death row for her murder, they would have to admit that their little narrative didn't fit. That Scott Peterson really didn't kill his wife, and they'd have to let him out of prison. Okay. So about 5 years before her disappearance, Evelyn met a man named Herman Aguilera, and they began dating. Let me tell you a little background. So when Evelyn was 17 years old, she got pregnant, and she proceeded to graduate from high school, and she worked 3 jobs to support herself and her son. Yeah, she was amazing. Like, how many people can say that? She wasn't sitting back living off of getting a welfare check and not doing anything. I mean, she was working 3 jobs at any given time to support her child. She was awesome. So towards the end of 2001, Evelyn discovered that Herman was married. Her boyfriend of 5 years was married. Apparently, his wife knew about Evelyn, but Evelyn didn't know about the wife. So on May 1st, she told Herman she didn't want to see him anymore. The police said that they had questioned Herman and that they were, quote, watching him. Okay. So let's go over like the nitty gritty of this story. The police didn't hold the first news conference to discuss her disappearance until a month after she went missing. 1 month after this lady went missing. Okay. Not only her, but she was almost 9 months pregnant, and she had a little boy. They went missing, and they didn't even do a press conference for a month. Why is that? So the mayor's office, this just gets to me too. The mayor's office, a year after her disappearance, finally put up a $10,000 reward. A year. 1 year after she went missing. Okay, in Laci Peterson's case, the family and other private parties donated $500,000 in 1 week. Excuse me. So in 1 week's time, Laci Peterson, her family had gathered up $500,000 reward. The mayor gave offered a $10,000 reward a year after this poor child went missing. A year. This is hard, y'all. This is really hard. It's sad. Okay, so a couple days after she went missing, they discovered Evelyn's wallet in a parking lot at a shopping center. Okay, so a week after she had disappeared, her boyfriend Herman is the one that reported her missing. I guess she didn't have any family that lived real close by. I think she was pretty much on her own, So here's the frustrating part. When I went to research this case, it was really hard to find information on this case. And that just blows my mind, because if you look up Laci Peterson's case, there are so many websites and articles and videos, and I mean, it's ridiculous amount of information on Laci Peterson. Okay, so why is it that Lacey Peterson has all this information? Evelyn Hernandez, who has busted her hump her entire life to support her child, there's nothing. Nothing. There's hardly anything out there. This case, y'all, it really upsets me. Yeah. So her son, Alexei, he's still missing. Her torso washed up. Her unborn son, they never discovered his body. Okay, so when I connect with spirit, sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's bumpy, you know, it just depends. I was able to connect really quickly with Evelyn Hernandez. She wanted to talk to me. You know, she had a lot to say and she wanted to speak. And, you know, I was grateful to give her that platform, since she's been treated like she's a nobody for all these years. You know, she wasn't even worth putting out. God, she wasn't even worth doing, you know, going on the news and talking about her. Nobody even gave a crap, you know? I just don't understand that. I don't think I will ever understand that. Why, you know, Lacey Peterson got all this press and this poor woman didn't get anything. I don't know. Okay, so, you know, went through this small talk, and I asked her if she could go through with me what happened at the end of her life. Okay. So she pulled up to a parking lot because Alexi wanted a drink and she had a bag in the back seat. I think she said she had juice boxes, or maybe she said she had juice. I don't know. She pulled over into a parking lot. She got out of the driver's seat. She went to the back seat, was reaching in to get it, and she felt somebody grab her, and she glanced, you know, her head went back and she saw a man grabbing her son Alexei out of his seat. I think she said the split second that she saw the man grab Alexei, she recognized him. Yep, I said it. She recognized him. She said that she had seen him outside of Alexei's school a few days before, and that she had seen him on 3 separate occasions. And she immediately said Juan Rivera. And I said, is the person that grabbed your son that you saw outside of your son's school, is his name Juan Rivera? And she said, I don't know. I'm not sure why, but I get Juan and Rivera, and I recognize him. She said, so I don't know if it's because his name is Juan Rivera and I recognize him because I know who he is. She was confused about that. Yeah, she was definitely confused. Okay, so whoever grabbed her, they grabbed her from behind. They put their hand over her mouth. She said she was thrown into the back of a van. Okay, so she went into detail and described this van. So it was like a box van, you know, where they don't have windows along the side. And she said on each wall there were shelves, and the shelves had a lip on them, and there was stuff sitting there. She said so there was a lip at the bottom, so that if you went around a corner, the stuff wouldn't just fall out on the floor. If that makes sense. And then they were in the back, and then she was thrown on the back floorboard, and her son was thrown on the back floorboard next to her. They were tape was put over their mouth, and their hands and feet were bound behind their back. The other thing was, she said there were these huge white buckets, and 2 were white buckets that had tops on them, and then there was a gray bucket that had a top on it. You know, I asked her, you know, were they painters, or, And she had no idea. She didn't have any idea. So, okay, so, yeah, so she started like, she was talking about, you know, seeing her son Alexei across from her and seeing the fear in his eyes, you know. And when she was telling me this and reliving it, like, it was hard for her, because she said, you know, there was so much fear in his eyes. Like, she knew that he was just scared to death. She could tell by looking at his face, you know, that he was scared to death. And I can't imagine. I really can't. Okay, she said about the only thing that she knew was when they pulled out of the shopping center parking lot, they made a right. And she said they made a right and drove straight. And she said, you know, it seemed like hours, but it was probably, you know, minutes. They went several miles, and then they made a left-hand turn. And that's all that she was able to keep up with as far as where she started, where she was abducted, and where they ended up, I guess. Yeah. Okay. So both men were up front and they were arguing in Spanish. She said it was a different dialect than what she spoke, but she understood what they were saying. She pretty much understood what they were saying. Here's the bizarre thing. She remembered the man's face, and she got the Juan and Rivera. She recognized one of their voices. She was pretty confident that the voice she recognized was the driver. It was the person that got in the driver's seat. And I said, did you recognize this guy Juan Rivera's voice? And she said, I have no idea. She didn't have a clue. She didn't know if that was the same guy, or if she recognized the one guy's voice and the other guy she had gotten the Juan Rivera name for. She didn't know. She didn't know. So the passenger apparently was saying, you know, what are we going to do? Why do we have to deal with the child? That wasn't part of the deal. We shouldn't have to deal with the kid. And the driver basically, over time, calmed the passenger down and said, I got it covered. We'll be fine. I got it covered. Yeah. Okay. So the van came to a stop. She could hear the door open. The guy on the passenger side jumped out and grabbed Alexei. And she said that was probably the first second that she realized that her son was going to be killed and she was going to be killed. Like, she said it set in at that point. Like, she didn't want to live because she knew they were going to hurt her son. God. Yeah. She said, yeah. I mean, she said her heart was just completely broken. She just gave up at that point, she felt like. So the van began to move again. A short time later, it came to another stop. She said she couldn't see where they were because there were only the two small windows up top in the back part of the van, and the back doors, apparently. So she said the back doors opened. She saw a few trees and what appeared to be... okay. When the back door opened, I guess she could see, you know, out, and she saw trees, and she saw this big, huge building, and she was trying to describe it to me. And what she was describing sounded like what I would think would be like a big, huge barn. And so I said, was like a big, huge barn. She was like, no, it wasn't made out of wood. She went on to say that it was like a metal building, but it was like really large. And she had said that she'd seen a building similar to this at one point, where she took her car to get fixed. But she said this wasn't the same place, but it's the same type of building. And she said it was this big, huge building, and you walk inside and there were a whole bunch of bays, you know, where they put the cars on lifts and work on the cars individually. So she said it was like, you know, there were like 8 mechanics in this big, huge building. And she described it like that. She never got to see the inside of this building. But from the outside, that's what it looked like to her. It was a very large building. You know, it was oversized, large building. So the guy grabbed her. Yeah. And he kind of like drug her out of the van, and he carried her over by the building and just kind of like laid her down there. And then he went back to the van, grabbed a box, shut the door of the van, came back over. She said she wasn't sure. Yeah. She wasn't sure how she knew, but she knew like this was it, that he was definitely gonna kill her at this point. She said there was no point in her fighting because she couldn't get loose, because she had tried in the van to get loose. So she just she said she started praying. The box that he had went and got and opened up, she said it looked like it was like phone cord. And he pulled a knife out of his pocket and cut it. And he walked behind her, and I guess he strangled her to death. But, you know, I was trying to think of, okay, so it's a van, it's like a box van, and there's shelves, and she said there was like a bunch of small things on each shelf on one side, and then there were like some boxes. And then one of these boxes had a roll of phone cord in it, is what she thought it was. So I was like racking my brain, like trying to think of, okay, what kind of, you know, where would a person work that they had this in their van? And, you know, I'm not really knowledgeable on all that stuff. I mean, it could be somebody that worked for a phone company. I don't know, you know. Yeah. Okay, so I tried to see what I could get out of her as far as the Juan Rivera and the recognizing the voice. So I said to her, is it possible that this Juan Rivera person and this man, this voice that you recognized, were they friends of your boyfriend Herman's? Had you met them through your boyfriend? And she was like, no, not that I know of. She said the Juan and Rivera guy, the one guy that she'd seen at her son's school a couple of times, she said, you know, I recognized him from being outside of my kid's school. So I said to her, well, did you recognize, like, was he a parent picking a child up from there, or did he teach there? She didn't know. She didn't know. She had no idea. And so then I said, did Herman do this to you? Do you think that Herman hired someone to have you and your unborn son and your son Alexei killed? And she was like, absolutely not. I mean, she was emphatic. Absolutely not. And she went on to say that, yeah, he ended up being a jerk, you know, for not telling her that he was married, and she was angry with him, but she said no. There was no reason, you know, she said there was no reason why he would have killed me and my unborn child and Alexei. Like, he wouldn't have done that. There was no reason. And she was very emphatic that he was not involved in any way, shape, or form. I asked her what she knew about her unborn son and her son Alexei, and she told me that they were both in a safe, happy place. So, I mean, if anything good could come out of this, I don't, you know, it's good that they're all happy now, and that they don't have to go through that crap, that pain, you know. So yeah, but you know, I just have to say a few things. This case bothers me for so many reasons, but one of the biggest reasons is, why did Evelyn Hernandez's case not get the publicity that Laci Peterson's case got? I mean, is it because Laci Peterson's white and married, you know, pregnant with the baby, got a nice looking husband, I mean, little picket fence? Is it because of that? Is it because Evelyn Hernandez was Hispanic and had her first child when she was 17? So what, because she had her first child when she was 17, like, oh, she's nobody, we're not going to worry about her? I mean, you know, like, if there was ever like a case dealing with racist people, you know? I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. What, because she's not white, she's not worthy or something? Like, and you know, I'm not one of these people, you know, the state of our country right now is so up in the air. You know, there's so many bad things going on, and the Democrats hate the Republicans, and the Republicans hate the Democrats, and we have a president who's, you know, out there tweeting and always going off about something. And look, I'm not a political person. You can ask my husband, he will tell you I don't like to deal with politics. My personal opinion of politics are the majority of politicians are liars, and they're good at lying, and that's why they are where they are. But what I will say is, whether I agree with the president and his politics or his behavior or not, I still pray for the president, and I still pray for our country. You know, I don't have to agree with everybody, you know, but I still feel like I need to pray for everybody. You know what I mean? So it's just, you know, people nowadays, everybody's talking about, oh, that's racist, and this is racist, and that's racist, you know, because people think that our president's racist. And, you know, and I'm not one of these type of people that throw around the race card. You know, no, I'm not a racist. I never have been. You know, here's how it goes for me. Like, I don't care what color you are. If you're a moron, you're a moron. If you're a nice person, you're a nice person. If you have a heart of gold, you have a heart of gold. It doesn't matter what color you are. You know what I mean? Like, you can be a piece of crap no matter what color you are, you know? So I don't judge people on the color of their skin, because, you know, we all bleed red. We're all the same, you know? And I don't know, you know, if you're a Christian, then you probably believe that we're all God's children. Anyway you cut it, we're all God's children. You know, and but in this case, with all the facts, you know, all the time that went by, and they didn't even talk about this poor girl on the news. They didn't say, hey, has anybody seen this woman and her child? You know, she's 9 months pregnant. They didn't even put out like a picture on the news of her, anything, nothing. Why? You know, why? I don't know. I don't have an answer, and it just blows my mind. But if I ever thought that race played a part in anything, it would be this case. It would definitely be this case. And it's sad, and it's, you know, it's sad because whether you like it or not, there's a woman that was murdered, and her child, her son Alexi, and her unborn son Fernando. You know, 3 people gone over someone's stupidity. I don't know why. I don't know. You know, I said to her, one of the biggest things, like, why do you think you were killed? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why were you killed? And she's like, I have no idea. She had no idea. I don't know. Okay, guys, that's all I've got to say. So, you know what? Just be nice to each other. You know, I've said this in another video. You can, if you see a homeless person, you can go to any McDonald's, usually any gas station, and buy a coffee for like $1. You know, if you don't want to give the person money, go buy them a coffee, or go buy them a bag of chips or something and take it to them, you know, and just shake their hand and say, hey, you know, I was thinking of you. I want to get you something, give you something. It doesn't cost it doesn't cost anything to just be nice to people, you know, go say hello, you know. And I told this story before on another video, but hi guys, it's me. As you can tell, it's a totally different day. Something happened to the end of my video. I'm not sure what. But anyway, so I told this story on another video. I just wanted to say, you know, I went up to this homeless man, gave him some money, and I started talking to him and just asking him how he was doing, you know, that kind of stuff. And he got really quiet for a second and turned away, and then he turned back and proceeded to tell me that I was the first person that had spoke to him in weeks. In weeks. You know, I think back to like a typical day in my life and all the people I speak to, like my spouse, and I go to the store and I say hey to somebody, and I'm on the phone and I'm paying a bill and I'm doing this and that. I come in contact with tons of people every day, and I can't imagine going through weeks of no one speaking to me. I can't imagine that. So you know what, just be kind to people, even if you don't have money to hand to a person that's homeless. I mean, just say hi. Sorry, I don't have any money to give you, but I hope you're having a good day. That goes a long way. Or just smile and say hi. So yeah, okay guys, have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye.